few weeks ago we had an incident, and one of the neighbors down here was burning, and you can see out there how that stuff looks. And we got this, well, part of a drought, I guess, is the stuff on the organic matter on the ground is quite dry and flammable, and yeah, it was quite a fire from what I've heard. What all has to happen is all these nozzles need to be rotated to the blue nozzle for the low rate. Tyler's, well, he was working on flipping these. He's currently dealing with a dog that wants to keep barking at us and sticking his head out the window. But basically what we do now, that is our respray tank, this is our nitrogen tank. So because we're respraying out of the blue nozzles to switch to the rear tank, Tyler's switching those couplers, these guys, so they're flipped, so that the big tank, instead of going out these nozzles, goes to these, and we're going to install drop tubes there. We also now have to change these valves to send hydraulic flow to the rear pump, so when you turn on the pump, it runs both pumps. And I want to clean out all the filters. Right, Tyler? So I got all these started loose, but since there's a little bit of head pressure from whatever might be in the tank, some of the filters come before the valve. So I'd like to close these off for safety's sake. Where's this one here? Sump. Yeah, there we go. So, yeah, we'll do that. If you're wondering why it's green, there's a little bit of foliar fertilizer in there. But every other one should be clear. They're actually not that dirty, but let's start it out clean. So if you look down in there, there's some stuff that's built up. That's what we're trying to clean up. So another thing that I haven't cleaned out yet this year is these sump ones. I don't know if I even got enough to get onto that. Let me get on the right way. There we go. Break that one loose. There's another one on this sump right here. Look at that. There's a bird nest. So these aren't near as plugged up, but they're also not nearly as fine of a filter, so they don't get cleaned near as often. There's some chunks of rusty metal, things like that. Mostly rotten, rusty metal from the pipes. All right, Tyler's putting on the last of the drop tubes. So these are longer. These guys here are shorter because when it's folded up, these fall right where the wheels are. So this is something that's kind of unique. Not a lot of farmers do. Only recently has it even been an option on a new machine to do dual product. And when my dad did this, he figured at the price of corn, it took him 2 years to pay what it cost to do all the plumbing, and the fact that he had to drive through half as much corn Didn't have to run it over, didn't have to burn the diesel fuel or spend the hours respraying it and side dressing it. So I gotta change these pumps, or these valves, so that it runs both of the pumps. And can't do that and hold the GoPro, but yeah. So we're gonna click this, tell it we're doing dual product, and select event. Maybe. Just gonna tell it yes because we're just testing it, so it doesn't matter. We're just flushing water, and then I'll set up the actual spray mix in a bit. But here you'll see I got 2 tanks now. We'll get into that later. I'm gonna put a couple gallon of water in both tanks to test it. Well, we got the sprayer going. I got about 30 acres done, and it got windy. So a few weeks ago we had an incident, and one of the neighbors down here was burning, and you can see out there how that stuff looks. And then we got this, well, part of a drought, I guess, is the stuff on the organic matter on the ground is quite dry and flammable, and yeah, there's quite a fire from what I've heard. But what we're finding is, from having to plant through such a thick mat of stuff, there's no corn. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, you know, but you go here, there's no corn. There's plenty of corn here. Look at that, it's just nothing. So we got to replant it. We're going to actually disc it. We're just hairpinning it and putting seed on top. It's not actually planting. Right there, there's some corn on the top. So anyway, and then we went and looked at some alfalfa ground that was planted this spring, and we asked our seed dealer, is it too late to plant? He said no, as long as it don't get too dry. Well, it hasn't rained, so we got about 10 acres of alfalfa that we paid to plant and bought the seed, and there's not a single plant. So we're just going to hook up to the disc. We're not going to disturb this, but we're going to have to rip that up where it's grassy and try and get some soft soil bed to plant in. Also, just in case you're wondering, unhook this. Tyler is way up there in the distance mowing alfalfa. So we did alfalfa a month ago. 2 weeks ago we chopped barley, and yeah, here we are doing alfalfa again. There you go. Not sure if we got enough horsepower.